Hello and welcome to the Escambia County Emergency Operations Center. My name is Davis Wood. I'm the Public Information and Education Officer for Escambia County Public Safety, and today we're here with Eric Womack. He is our Quality Specialist for Escambia County EMS. And today we're here to discuss when to dial 911. What are some opportunities to identify when you should dial 911, or maybe you don't have to dial 911. You could take yourself, someone else could take you to the doctor, emergency care, maybe one of those kind of facilities that can lighten up the load for our 911 service. And so Eric is going to help us identify those opportunities. And today we're going to start with low acuity calls. That's typically why we start seeing the buildup and we start seeing those held calls, is because someone is calling 911 that maybe doesn't need it. So let's start with that. What is a low acuity call?
A lot of examples of our low acuity calls are patients with flu-like symptoms, medication refills, minor aches and pains, acute onset of cough, a lot of those minor issues that can be resolved either at home, at an urgent care setting, or even where you can drive your own private vehicle as opposed to locking up an ambulance and getting them to transport you there.
So what happens? We mentioned that when you get all those low acuity calls, you start to see those held calls. But from the EMS side of things, what happens from an EMS standpoint when we get such a large volume of low acuity calls?
So if we have 18 trucks on shift and you end up being the 19th call and it is a low acuity call, that call is going to hold until one of those trucks become available. And unfortunately, if a higher priority or higher acuity call comes in before you, we're going to go to that call first. So you might wait indefinitely until those higher acuity calls clear and we can have a unit available to come see you.
So when does EMS typically see the high volume of calls come in? When do we expect calls to be held?
We are a 24-hour service, but ideally our peak call volumes are between 9 a.m. and roughly to about 11 p.m. Last year we ran over 84,000 calls, with a significant portion of those being a high acuity, with an increasing number of calls showing us to be lower acuity calls that could have been transported by other means other than an EMS.
And of course, one of the reasons why EMS will get held up also is when you are taking these patients from their location to the hospital, there's a process, and they can't just take them to the hospital and drop them off and go. There could be an added wait time when you get to the hospital. Tell us about that process of taking a patient from point A to point B, the hospital.
Absolutely. EMS in our policy state that once you're my patient until I hand over patient care to another provider, whether that be a paramedic at the hospital, a nurse at the hospital, or give handoff to the doctor. Because these ERs are oversaturated with patients just like EMS, we have to wait until one of those providers become available for us. So there are times where we'll wait on the wall at our local hospitals for upward of 30 minutes to an hour waiting for one of those set providers.
And just because they're being taken to the hospital by an ambulance, that does not mean they're going to be seen immediately by the doctor, correct?
Correct. That's an old wives' tale. Hospitals don't care how you get there anymore. We triage our patients just like they do, and we give them our report, and then based on our report and the patient's presentation, that warrants whether you get to find a room or you go to the waiting room. So again, the hospitals don't care if you come in by helicopter, by ambulance, or by POV. It's going to be the nature of your illness warrants your immediate intervention by those providers.
And you mentioned wise tales. We were discussing maybe some myths that we can debunk. One of the myths is that EMS is taxpayer funded. You're paying your taxes. That means that your trip in the ambulance is already covered by those taxes. That is not true, correct?
That is correct. We are a service-based industry, so our services are paid for by your insurance company. That's why if you are in the ambulance, we're going to ask for who your insurance company is. We're going to ask for your demographics, so therefore we can bill that insurance company for those services provided.
And of course, we've been discussing low acuity calls and what those are, but of course, there are legitimate reasons why someone needs to go to the hospital and an ambulance is necessary. So let's discuss that. Finally, what determines a true emergency?
Yes, again, those time-sensitive calls, acute onset of shortness of breath, your sudden chest pains, somebody who becomes unconscious. Overdoses are a big issue here in Escambia County. So if somebody's unconscious, unresponsive, and you suspect that it's opioid related, by all means call 911. We have no problem coming up, stabilizing, and seeing the need for transporting them to the local facilities.
And if you wish to learn more about when to dial 911 or more about EMS's services, you can visit our website at myescambia.com/EMS. Thank you for joining us.